Welcome back. We are joined today by Stanislav Krapivnik, a former U.S. Army officer and military analyst, originally from Donbass. So thank you for coming on. I wanted to
Thank
ask you
you.
about the rapidly changing situation in Ukraine, which appears to be changing in a very big way. But first, let me ask about the war against Iran, because, well, as you know, everything is interconnected. So I was wondering how you see the Iran war impacting Russia and indeed, by extension, the war in Ukraine.
Well, let's begin with right now. Today is the big cry of hypocrisy from the West is, oh my God, Russia is giving out satellite coordinates to where our bases and ships are to Iran for targeting. Yeah, well, welcome to getting it as good as you give it. And I'm sure the Chinese, but the Chinese are doing, of course, the Chinese are doing. They got twice as many satellites, and they got their Baodu system in power. I guess they can't really piss off both Russia and China um, too much. But the look, Russia has flooded a lot of equipment, and though nobody has admitted to this, but I will say this because I'm pretty damn sure. But this is my opinion. It's not a official government line, so I'm not speaking for Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. Uh, but I guarantee you that those the pilots and those MiG-29s and MiG-30 and Su-35s and the people running the control center and the S-400s, which are still being husbanded, are not Iranians. It takes much longer than 4 or 5 months to get pilots up to speed. And you really can't retrain pilots from older platforms to new platforms. They'll always be second class, muscle memory, things like that. Well, it's different aerodynamics, not like jumping from an old tank to a newer model tank. That's still wide on tracks on ground. This is a very different thing because of aerodynamics. I guarantee you those are Russians. And yesterday's shocking discovery was there are Russian chips inside the Iranian drones. And yes, we're using the last of our washing machines, dryers, and telephones to pull those chips out. Yeah, that as much as you tell the Europeans, oh yeah, we actually print our own chips. We can do that. We have those technologies. No, you're just white semi-smart apes. You can't do that. That's you're in the jungle. You're incapable of doing that. Yeah. Okay, whatever. You know, well, welcome to the drones whacking at the U.S. military. Yes, there are Russian chips all over those drones. And if you noticed, the American Lucas drone, which is an exact copy of a Garand 3, and before that, the U.S. Premiered its similar drone back in June, which is just a copy of the Shihad, the original Shihad first generation drones. So they're not exactly creating anything new. Which, by the way, with well, on the subject of drones, to get the whole Caucasus up in flames, which they're doing very well right now. Well, first of all, even though they're Shia, Aleyev is power hungry, not exactly the brightest star in the sky, far from what his father was. He's got a very power hungry and not exactly brightest star either wife and her clan that really want a war to annex parts of Iran, which is going to get Azerbaijan destroyed. They've also been pushing Azerbaijani nationalism in Dagestan, where they're 5% of population. They haven't said they're 5% of population. They're probably the biggest one single minority, not counting Russians, in Dagestan, because Dagestan has 30 different ethnic groups living there, but they're still 5% of population. But they're pushing, this is all our land, this is not your land, this ultra nationalism, and into Russian schools where the majority are Azerbaijanis, really pissing the locals, the rest of the 95% of the locals off. Not the smartest move, but they're doing it. And I think, these drones that flew in, this all goes back to a topic I pulled up from my sources in Georgia who are in the Georgian government or around the Georgian government. A month ago, a little over a month ago, the Georgian government allowed American military planes free access to Georgian airspace. Four C-130s in 2 days landed for, quote, refueling in Tbilisi airport. What was loaded or unloaded, nobody knows. well, okay, somebody knows, but it's not been disclosed. And also these Shahid type drones appear out of nowhere, strike the airport in Azerbaijan, which the Iranians would never have a reason to do. Why would they do that? If any strike a military post, there's an Israeli post there. And Azerbaijan has declared declared that this is a terrorist attack, and the Iranians, we have nothing to do with this. We have no reason to do this. You know, what is it? It's not Arkham's. No, Arkham is Lovecraft. The Razor. Uh, you know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's the theory of who has the most to gain. I just I can't remember the name of the author of the theory, the Razor. I didn't want to say Arkham, but Arkham was a made up town in Lovecraftian stories. Okay, so we'll go past that. Sorry. We're all tired. I know that. I'm running 3-4 hours of sleep for the last couple of days, so it does impair thinking a little bit. Well, the Azerbaijanis have declared that this is a terrorist attack. We will seek vengeance. Have mobilized their military and have recalled their embassy. Which I think if they do this, we may see the end of Azerbaijan as a nation of any kind, especially considering the sole source of revenue for Azerbaijan is oil. And having been to Azerbaijan many times and Baku, because I used to, I was director of supply chain for Halliburton, a regional director of supply chain for Eurasia. I'd go there to see my people working there. And on the south side of the peninsula, you have Baku. On the north side, across this little hill range, you have offshore all the oil rigs, and you have all the offices and things like that, and expensive housing primarily for expats. So that it's all, offshore and not far away. Plus, you have the oil pipeline going through right along the Iranian border, which can easily be taken out. So if they really want to, I mean, if Iran hits back hard enough just with drones, Azerbaijan won't have a money source. They'll probably have a revolution because the economy will collapse. Once the oil's gone, there is no other economy in Azerbaijan outside of agrarian. And, and if they keep pushing the Russian markets close again to them, then they'll totally collapse because they'll have absolutely nothing left. But again, Aliyev seems to be very hell-bent on being Ukraine 2.0. Ukraine 2.0 is stuck between Russia and Iran and dissing both of them off as much as possible for his American and Israeli owners. And then I'm hearing from Georgia that the Israelis are there trying to really shake the situation up and try to get a war going with the Georgians toward Russia. So they're trying to light up everything and everybody around them. Just like the missile that was heading toward Turkey was some mystery missile that appeared out of nowhere. So, and Iranians said, we didn't fire anything at Turkey. So the Americans are trying to do desperately to try to get the whole region into flames because they can't defeat Iran. America is running out of missiles, defensive missiles first. Offensive missiles will go quite a bit sooner. I think they're hitting Iran right now with JDAMs, which are glide bombs. They're definitely hitting them with missiles. Well, I mean, they are hitting them with missiles, but I think the Tomahawks are probably going to be starting to run out soon. So that's a situation there right now. Iran has done an excellent job of de-Americanizing the Gulf. And Russia needs to thank Iran because the $1 billion radar system that Iran took out of Bahrain is the radar system that saw into southern Russia. And the Ukrainians were getting coordinates to hit Russian civilian shipping in Astrakhan and those areas from this radar. It's gone. And the secondary radar in Qatar is gone. And most of these, Iran has hit 22 American bases, including American occupation bases in Iraq, which are now under fire also from Shia militia in Iraq, because Iraq's been demanding American leave for the last 10 years. The U.S. has been going, whatever. So that's one of those issues. So I think the region's going to go still a lot further. Israel's taken massive damage. There's reports of public unrest because the areas that they said were safe is not safe. There's something like 200 buildings have been destroyed inside of Tel Aviv, and they're coming in constantly. And the Israelis are screaming about war crimes. The Israelis are screaming about war crimes. The people committing genocide on all their neighbors except for Jordan so far and Egypt are screaming about war crimes. So, the hypocrisy is rank. But the American missiles, defensive missiles, they not only are there not enough of them, or even nearly enough of them, the production rates are subpar. And you can't expand it without building new facilities, which is something amazing that Americans haven't done that to Patriot missiles, considering how bad they needed Patriot missiles to feed their Ukrainian proxies. Never mind all their other proxies around the world and vassals. The Americans are producing about 35 to 40 Patriot PAC-3 missiles a day. A month. And about 10 THAAD missiles a month, which is absolutely nothing, as you know. So, no, and by the way, China has also cut off the U.S. from dual-use rare earth magnets to the point that the new